in the customary manner. And in so doing, let us consider seriously the purpose for which we are here gathered together. The purpose which, since the dawn of human intelligence, has drawn true brothers and sisters of the light into holy convocation. The purpose which, during all ages, has attracted the spiritual efflorescence of every epoch together at selected meeting places. The purpose which has ever impelled the noblest and most exalted souls of earth to band together for a common effort. That purpose is to study nature's laws, to unfold the divine attributes of the soul, to secure conscious immortality, and to attain the royal grandeur that surrounds the true perfected human. As has been the custom for eons past, let us arise and face the east, from whence each day the sun first sheds his all-illuminating rays upon the children of the earth. And bear in mind that even as all energy, light, and warmth upon the earth are derived from the solar Father, so in truth all life, light, and love are derived from God, the spiritual Father, whose all-providing care was symbolized in the minds of our ancient brothers and sisters by the orb of the day. Let us now make the symbol of the religion of the stars. We stand to indicate active volition, with right hand raised to heaven in aspiration to divine knowledge and power, and the left hand extended to earth as a pledge that such knowledge and power will be used only in spirit and in truth for the benefit of humanity. You may lower your hand and I will pronounce the invocation. O thou eternal spirit in whom we live, move, breathe, and have our being, consecrate this meeting to the cause of truth and righteousness. As brothers and sisters of the light, we seek knowledge at the shrine of goodness. Therefore, by virtue of our unselfishness and sincerity in desiring to assist in thy works, we ask the help of the legions of light and their protection from all forces of darkness. So shall it be. Okay. This class is quite large, and in order to get everything accomplished that needs to be done, that has been planned for this particular class, we have some new guidelines. I would request that everybody remain muted for the class. And if you have any questions on anything in particular, please write them in the chat box. And the questions will be entertained throughout the class, but they will come from the questions that are entered in the chat. So let me now share my screen. Oh, goodness, how did I do this last week? Okay, share screen. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Does everybody see Astrology 101 on their screen? Okay, so here we go. We're going to, I want to review briefly what was covered last week, and then we're going to start in detail on Leo. So last week we talked about the approach of each section in this class, and it's a four-tiered approach on Jodha, which you can reference in the first two chapters of Astrological Signatures, Book 2. Today's lesson comes from Astrological Signatures, the chapter on the Zodiac, which happens to be serial 26, I believe. Let me see, 22, excuse me, serial 22. So last week we talked about the elements, and there are 4 elements. And the order in which they appear in the Zodiac are fire, earth, air, and water. There are 3 qualities and 3 degrees of emanation. And the 3 qualities are movable or cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And the 3 degrees of emanation are first, second, and third degrees of emanation. Excuse me? And then we have 2. So 4 elements, 3 qualities, 2 sexes, or polarity. So there is a male and female, a negative and aggressive or positive and receptive. And then we will look at the zodiac as a whole. And that's the part where we're at now. We're looking at the zodiac as a whole. When you go through the zodiac, starting with Aries all the way straight through to Pisces, you will follow the three qualities. So Aries is cardinal, Taurus is fixed, and Gemini is mutable. Then you go to Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. Again, movable or cardinal, fixed, and mutable. The next three signs are Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. And the last signs are Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And those are the qualities. The degrees of emanation work a little bit differently. The first degree of emanation includes the first four signs of the zodiac: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. And the first degrees of emanation, the signs in the first degree of emanation are those who are motivated or activated by their own ideas, their own motives and feelings and ideas, their own yearnings. The second degree of emanation, Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. And those people, those signs are motivated by their own yearnings. However, they do also take into consideration the ideas and concerns of other people. And the last and the third degree of emanation is the last four signs: Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And they consider the ideas and feelings and yearnings of others before they act. Now, although this sounds like the first degree of emanation is quite selfish, and they only think about themselves, and the second degree is not as much, and the third degree are so wonderfully altruistic, that's not necessarily the case. It's just that they move by considering these things first. So a Sagittarian is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is one of the planets of business. And anybody who is in business, and certainly an entrepreneur, wants to benefit themselves in some way or another. They would like to make a profit. But a Sagittarian, before they're making a profit, will do some research about what people want, so that they can they can find the niche that's going to bring them what it is that they would like to have. So the degrees of emanation talk about how people make initial moves, that they're motivated by their own needs, but everybody always considers other people. Each degree of emanation considers other people. It's just that the degree to which they consider others and how that gets them moving toward their particular goal. Okay, so now we've got the elements, and the elements are fire, earth, air, and water. The fire signs are Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. These are the threes now. The earth signs are Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Air signs are Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. And the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. They're listed here on this page as cardinal or movable, fixed, and mutable, because this is not how they appear in the zodiac. In the zodiac, the fire signs appear Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The earth signs appear Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. The air signs appear Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And the water signs do appear Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Again, I was talking about the qualities. Your cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra. These are the signs that are the pioneers in their element. They want to be first. They tend to be the authority, an authority. They tend to be a type of leader within their element. The fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. And fixed is implies a different kind of stability. So these are the more structured signs of their element. And the fixed signs, this is the order in which they appear in the zodiac. Taurus appears first. Taurus is earth, Leo is fire, Scorpio is water, and Aquarius is air. And then we talked about the mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So mutable signs tend to be the developers. The fixed signs are the perfecters. They're going to see something and they're going to try to make it absolutely perfect. Whereas the mutable signs are going to develop it to where it can be more usable by other people. So the degree of emanation, we talked about this before. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. The first degree of emanation has 2 cardinal signs in it. So you can think of the first degree of emanation as akin to the pioneers of the movable signs. The second degree of emanation has 2 fixed signs in it. They bookend. Leo and Scorpio are both fixed. There is 1 mutable and 1 movable sign in the second degree of emanation. First degree of emanation are people who want their liberty. They want to do it their way. And they're motivated by their own inner yearnings and thoughts and desires. Second degree of emanation are the modifiers. And they will modify the way they are moving or the goal to which they would like to progress by considering the opinions and ideas of others. And the third degree of emanation is bookended by 2 mutable signs, the developers. And these are the people with the most reserve. I know that sometimes you might think, how can I dare say that a Sagittarian is reserved? But considering both Leo and Aries, Sagittarius is kind of reserved. These are the people who consider the ideas and desires of others before they will move ahead with what it is that they want to get. So they are informed by the ideas and desires of other people. That's the third degree of emanation. Now, there are 2 sexes or 2 polarities, just like the negative and positive polarities of a magnet. Negative does not mean something that is untoward or bad. It's just a different pole of a magnet, or male and female, aggressive and receptive. And the male signs of the zodiac happen to be the fire and the air signs. So Aries, Gemini, Libra, as you can see, I don't need to read to you. So if the air and fire signs are male, what are the feminine signs or the receptive signs? Those are water and earth, Cancer, Taurus, Virgo, Scorpio, Capricorn, and Pisces. Those are the female signs. So, and here is the zodiac as an entire unit. And they are listed here in the order in which they appear in the zodiac. Oh, boo! I'm sorry. You see, I thought I had put something into this particular. I'm going to get it. PowerPoint that allowed me to go straight to Leo, but apparently it is not going to cooperate. So I'm going to have to look at something else so that I can get to where I want to go. And I'll be there in a minute. So here we go. And I don't know why it's doing this. In any event, okay, so now we're here, we're at Leo. And Leo is the 5th sign in the zodiac. Leo is a fire sign. It's a fixed sign. It's in the 2nd degree of emanation. And Leo rules the heart and the back. And when you think of lion-hearted, so Leos are big. They do everything big. They can be extremely generous. Leo is ruled by the sun. I don't want this. Just a minute. There we go. Leo is ruled by the sun. Leos tend to be impulsive, and that can be said in general about the fire signs. They're very passionate. They're daring. They will try anything. I am not very happy right now. Things are not doing what I want them to do. Poor me. Okay, ambitious. They tend to be extremely generous. And they are ruled impulsive. Well, it said that, and ruled by the intellect. They're sympathetic, forceful. They're good leaders. They're also very dramatic. They can be very dramatic because it's a fixed sign. They can be, it says unbending dignity, and the fixed signs can tend to be stubborn. But Leos are also very kind people. They want to make sure that everybody is comfortable, and they want to make sure that everybody's having a good time. The key word for Leo is I will. Leo is associated with the 19th card of the major arcanum, the sun. Its color is lighter orange. Its gem is the ruby. Rules happiness and joy. Remember then, son of earth, that the light of the mysteries is a redoubtable fluid put by nature at the service of the will. She lights those who know how to direct her. She strikes down with a thunderbolt those who ignore her power or who abuse it. Happiness awaits thee in domestic life if thou knowest how to strengthen the conjugal circle and guard its sacredness in the sanctuary of the heart. Leos tend to be well proportioned. They tend to be good looking people. They have a ruddy complexion. They are affable, but a different kind of affable than Libras, because that is also a word that I might use to describe a Libra. Just a minute, I have another paper here. Where did it go? Okay, the best quality of Leo is kindness. And the worst quality of a Leo is domination. To be overwhelming and oppressive. The thought series of a Leo is their will. So these are the things that in the on the signs worksheet, in the element, you would write fire. For the quality, it is fixed. For the sex, it's fire, so it's male. Leo is ruled by the sun. We'll get into harmony exaltation when we do the planets. And it is the second degree of emanation. The key word is I will. Oh, we're going to look at the symbol for Leo. It starts with a circle, and it's not, oh, I know why it wasn't cooperating. Okay, so thank you very much. Okay, we start with a circle, up and around, Leo. You'll see the symbol over here on the side of the page as well. As a fire sign, it is, Leos can be inspirational. As a fixed sign, remember they are a perfecter. In the second degree of emanation, they modify their desires according to what they see going on around them. We continue in the second degree of emanation to the next sign, and the sign after Leo is Virgo. I remember one person telling me that Virgos are the hypochondriacs of the zodiac, and that might be true. And they're ruled by, in the natural zodiac, if you assign each house a sign of the zodiac, Virgo comes in the sixth, comes to the sixth house, which is the house of service and medicine and disease. But Virgo is the virgin, it's earth, it's mutable, and as a mutable sign, it is a perfecter. And if you've ever known any Virgos, they want to get it just right. They can be picayune, but they're also very practical and industrious. They are a bit laid back, but that says absolutely nothing about their intellect. Because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is a sign of communication and intelligence and learning. So, as you see here, Mercury rules in the body, the navel, and the bowels. Mercury is a very practical sign. They're industrious, they're worldly, they're practical. They argue just as well as a Gemini, a little softer though, and extremely persistent because they are the earth sign. And earth signs tend to be more grounded than other signs. They are quite analytical and discriminating. My sister is a Virgo, and we tease her. She's gotten much, much better. But the first time we went to the beach, she looked at the sand and she said, dirty, and she wouldn't go into the water. So they're very studious and analytical. They're scientific and witty, quite witty. Sometimes they are so subtle, though, that something they say will shoot straight over your head. Virgo also rules science. And it rules the second card of the major arcana, Veiled Isis. Its color is darker violet, rules jasper and science. It says that the mind is enlightened in seeking God with the eyes of the will. God has said, let there be light, and light inundated space. Man should say, let truth show itself and good come to me. And if man possesses a healthy will, he will see the truth shine, and guided by it will attain all to do which he aspires. Strike resolutely at the door of the future, and it will open to you. But study for a long time the door you should enter. Turn your face toward the sun of justice, and the knowledge of the true will be given you. Keep silent in regard to your intentions, so as not to be influenced by the contradictions of men. So Virgos do know how to be quiet, and they will express themselves when they're ready. The key words for Virgo is I analyze. And that goes along with its ruler, Mercury. Any questions? Have there been any questions in the chat box yet?
There are. Let me go over some of these with you.
Okay.
What does it mean? Cardinals are leaders in their own element. Are they leaders in other elements also?
Yes. However, when I say that they're the leaders of their element, they put forth the concerns of their element first. They pioneer their element. So an Aries will pioneer aggression. Aries is ruled by Mars. Cancer uh, is a pioneer of emotions, and some people will say that a Cancerian is very emotional and can be very emotional and touchy. Libra is a pioneer in thought, and they gather a lot of information. They can be discriminating, and in gathering all of this information, sometimes they weigh it, and as they're weighing it, they are pushing it out, and it hasn't been as fully developed, although it is. So we're talking about paradox and confusion at the same time. Capricorns are the goat, and the mountain goat in particular, who steps very carefully and very surely as they're climbing the mountain. So yes, these cardinal signs can be pioneers and they can be leaders with others. However, they're leaders within their element. So if they're leading, they're going to lead as a thinker. They're going to lead as somebody who's going to inspire. They're going to lead as somebody who's going to generate emotion. Does that answer the question? I hope.
Yes, it does. I have a couple of more questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. If the sixth house is the house of disease, is it also the house of health? Do
Yes.
disease and health go together?
Yes.
And I got a couple of requests for, can you go over the tarot cards again for each sign? And is number 2 veiled Isis for Virgo? And
Yes.
you show the polarities again.
Okay, polarity and sex are synonyms in this instance. And the aggressive, male, assertive signs are the fire and the air signs. The receptive, the negative signs, the female signs, are the water and earth signs.
All right, well, that takes care of the questions for now. Thank you.
Okay.
Vanessa and Vega, this
Yes,
is
Yes.
Peg. I sent a copy of the table of correspondences in the chat.
Okay.
awesome.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. It's coming. It's coming at the end of the class too. Anyhow, so now after Virgo comes Libra. Libra is the cardinal or movable sign, air sign. Libra, the symbol for Libra is the scales. So many times people associate the scales of justice with Libra. It is the second degree of emanation because it is an air sign. It is masculine. It rules, as you can see, the kidney, skin, lumbar regions, endocrine, and the buttocks. Air signs are more flexible than all of the other signs. Just think of how air can move different things and how air flutters a flag and moves leaves across and debris through the atmosphere. It rules the intellect. So air signs are a bit more changeable and flexible than others, but that does not negate the fact that Libra is still a movable air sign. The movable signs want to be first. They are the pioneers. They step out first. They can be said to have a difficult time following directions of others. So it is something that is oftentimes learned. And remember, we're talking about these signs in isolation. We're just talking about the signs, because when they are partnered with a planet and in a particular house, their meanings are influenced by those other areas. So, changeable, bright, sociable. Libra is ruled by Venus, so they like the pretty things. They like bright and shiny. They are not submissive, but they are easily influenced by others. Sometimes people would say that a Libran can be indecisive because they're always looking at both sides of the story, both sides of the picture. They want to make sure that things are fair. As they are ruled by Venus, and they like the nice and pretty, they too like people to be comfortable. And they certainly like to be comfortable. They are impressed by the good, the nice things in life. Oh, come on. Okay. They enjoy socializing. And they like to talk. They like to talk. They can be quite cooperative. I see Vega shaking her head. Yeah, Librans like to talk. Libra is ruled by the third sign, the third card in the major arcana, Isis unveiled. So Libra starts to look at things in reality. And because they can see the big picture and the whole picture, and they see both sides of things, sometimes it can make them a little indecisive. But lighter yellow is the color. Their gem is diamond. A couple of other keywords are action and marriage. And it says that to affirm what is true and will what is just is already to create it. To affirm and will the contrary is to vow oneself to destruction. Hope for success in thy enterprises, provided thou knowest how to right the activity which fecundates the rectitude of mind, which will make thy works bear fruit. And what that means is that it'll pollinate your ideas so that they'll grow. The key word for, the key word for Libra is I balance. The best quality for Libra is affability. And the worst quality of a Libran is approbation, is seeking flattery. Okay. So here we have air, and what follows air? Water follows air. And following Libra, we have Scorpio. Scorpio.
I'm sorry, did I miss the tarot card for Libra?
Yeah, it's the Isis veiled, number 3. Isis unveiled, excuse me. Isis unveiled, number 3. Now, Scorpio is the other sign in the zodiac that has 2 symbols to describe it. The first sign that had 2 symbols to describe it was Aries. And Aries is described by both the ram and the lamb. A very aggressive creature and a creature that will sacrifice itself in order to make sure that others are getting what they need. And we have either the scorpion or the eagle. And oh, I can't think of exactly what it is. The only thing I'm thinking of now is a song. It's called Signifying Monkey, but that's not it. There's, I see Cynthia knows what I'm talking about. But there is, there's an old story about a creature that asks the scorpion to give it a ride, and he said, "But you won't sting me, will you? You won't sting me." And the scorpion promises, "No, I'm not going to sting you." And of course, as soon as they get halfway through, the scorpion does sting the other creature, and they both perish. So the scorpion is an aggressive creature, as is the ram, an aggressive creature. And the eagle soars to greater heights. And the scorpion has that capability. The scorpion is, as a fixed sign, it is a perfector. No, wait a minute. As a fixed sign, it is a, yeah, perfector. A modifier. No. A developer. No, I was right the first time, the perfecter.
It's a perfecter.
Yeah, it's a perfecter. So it wants to look at and examine things very closely. Scorpion wants to get down to the basement of whatever it is, and then pick everything out of it from the bottom and go up to the top. Scorpio is a feminine sign, as it is a water sign. It is in the second degree of emanation. So although scorpions are definitely about themselves, just as anybody else, they will consider what is going on with the people around them. Scorpions are just as sensitive as Cancerians. They just hide a little better because they do not want to appear weak. So, and you'll see the generative organs and the procreative attributes are associated with Scorpio, and most people think Scorpio is the sex sign, whereas Pisces is certainly sexier than Scorpio. Scorpio has just got better press, and they promoted themselves a little better or a little differently. They have extremely strong emotions, and just as strong as anybody else. Negative qualities of a scorpion is their desire for revenge, because they will come after you, and they will get you 10 times as bad as they thought you offended them. And it's because of their sensitivity. People do not think of scorpions as sensitive, but they are extremely sensitive. They are very sensitive. And maybe it's the fixed part of their sign that lends to the degree of sensitivity and the degree of emotions that a scorpion can fix. They are an almost limited source of ideas. They can be very generous and very loving, just like any other, any sign. And since it is a water sign, this is a sign of emotions. Again, the fixed sign, they are a sign of will and determination, and they can stick to their guns. They sometimes can, just like any fixed sign, cut off their nose to spite their face, because this is what I said and I'm not going back. Scorpio is associated with the fourth card in the major arcanum of the sacred tarot, the Sovereign. The color is darker red. The gem is topaz. And an idea is realization. So Scorpion says that nothing can resist a firm will, which has for a lever the knowledge of the true and just. To combat in order to secure its realization is more than right, it is a duty. The man who triumphs in that struggle only accomplishes his earthly mission. He who succumbs in devoting himself to it gains immortality. If it signifies that the realization of thy hopes depends upon a being more powerful than thyself. Seek to know him, and thou shalt have his support. Scorpions tend to play close to the chest. Water signs in general tend to play close to the chest because they can be, because they're sensitive. And sometimes their sensitivity gets away from them and they can be hurt easily. When they know this about themselves, they can modify it, but that still does not mean that they're not hurt. They just know that maybe I'm being a little too sensitive here. The key word for Scorpio is I desire. The best quality for a Scorpion is resourcefulness. They will find a way. Their worst quality is troublesomeness, because they will fight tooth and nail. Remember, Scorpio is ruled by Mars. They're from the thought series of desire. As I said, the key word for Scorpio is I desire. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. And Mars is a circle. Oh, I did that well, very well. That looks delightful, doesn't it? A circle with an arrow. There's Scorpio. I mean, Mars. Scorpio is an M, as you see over here. Down at the bottom of the screen. Here's the Scorpio. Here's the symbol for Scorpio. An M with that arrow at the bottom. So let's entertain some questions about these two signs. Any questions about Libra and Scorpio?
I've got a couple of cute comments here, but so really women are from Mars and men are from Venus. And what are the worst qualities of Scorpio?
Troublesomeness. Oh, I can't think of the word. They can be very belligerent, revengeful. But the worst quality listed is troublesomeness. Any others?
There's a question about what are the headings, harmony and exaltation?
Those will come when we marry the signs to the planets.
Right. Okay. Another
So,
question
although,
on, I'm sorry. There was another question on best qualities of and worst quality of Virgo.
The worst quality of Virgo is criticism. They can be extremely critical. Because they pay such attention to detail, they can see your flaws. Where, you know, Scorpio does that too. But what Scorpio does is because they look so deeply at a person, they know exactly how to get under your skin. And when they want to hurt you, they're going to do it very thoroughly. Whereas a Virgo can let go of it a little bit faster, but they're extremely critical. Their best quality is being able to analyze. They are very analytical. That's why they rule science.
So Robert Taylor wants to know how you assign gemstones to be used.
That's another class. It's if you want more information on that, you can go to certainly the Sacred Tarot. That's book 6. But I am not prepared to go into it in this class.
It is also in stellar healing.
So you got to read all the books. And although I have managed to read all of the books, that doesn't mean to say that I am an expert in every single one of them. What it means is that I have been exposed to all of the information in it, and now I'm ready to get down to the real work. So it is, if being a hermetician is your goal, I commend you and I encourage you to do so. But remember, that's just the first step, because the real work comes afterwards. Okay, so let's continue. And now we are going to the next 2 signs in the zodiac. So after water comes fire. And now we're talking about Sagittarius. I am reminded of, I'm dating myself. Many people might not know this reference, but there's a man named Stephen Stills. He was part of Crosby, Stills and Nash. He was also in the, and now that name went out of my head. But he wrote a song, and one of the lines in the song says, do you know this? Talked about the friendly Sagittarian. Do you remember their name? Well, Sagittarians are very friendly.
Hey, Vanessa.
Yes, yes.
Buffalo Springfield.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
Buffalo
we're the same
Springfield.
age.
Yes, yes, we are. Ah, good old Stephen Stills, right?
Yeah.
Anyhow, so Scorpio is ruled by the centaur. Man up top, horse on the bottom. It is a fire sign and it is a mutable sign. And as a mutable sign, it is a developer. It is in the 3rd degree of emanation. So when a Sagittarian wants to go after what it wants, it looks first at what's going on with other people so that it can make its path to its desires smoother. Third degree of emanation and masculine, because fire signs, all of the fire signs are masculine, assertive, aggressive. Scorpion, I mean, not Scorpion, excuse me, Sagittarians also run off at the mouth. They can't help it. It just comes out. They are not necessarily the most tactful people. Their symbol is also the symbol of an archer. So when they start talking, they can hit the nail on the head, and they do not always consider how it might affect the person to whom their comment is directed. Sagittarians are friendly, as they are a fire sign. They're full of energy and enthusiastic. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So Sagittarians too are big. All of the fire signs are big. They do things in a big way. Because it's Jupiter. Jupiter is one of is the major benefic. It wants people to be comfortable. It wants people to get the most out of whatever it is that they can get. Sagittarius, you see here, strikes the balance between Aries and Leo. Leo is full of ego, and Aries is full of ego, but in a different way. Leo is more sensitive about their ego, whereas Aries just knows it. They know, yeah, I'm it. I am all that. That's an Aries. Leo says, yes, I'm good. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Look at me. Look at me. I'm good. And then somebody will say something and they'll have to think about it, but they'll still be standing straight and tall. Whereas a Sagittarian can take it a little bit differently than both an Aries and a Leo. And then they'll run off at the mouth. The Sagittarius is associated with the, I thought was this, oh my goodness, let me look at this. Because I thought, what number is the Conqueror? I thought it was 7. Because I have 6 down here, and all I have to do is find the book. I have too many books on my table.
It's number 7.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is the Conqueror, it's number 7. So, and the color is lighter purple. It's a red garnet, and 7 is victory. You know, want peace and victory. That's 7, the Conqueror. And that's the card, the major arcanum card associated with Sagittarius. And it says that the empire of the world belongs to them who possess the sovereignty of spirit. That is to say, the light which makes clear the mysteries of life. It signifies that in breaking through obstacles, thou wilt crush thy enemies, and all thy wishes will be realized if thou attack the future with audacity, armed in the consciousness of thy right. The key word for Sagittarius is I see. Because they do, they can be very perceptive. They can tend, because they are ruled by Jupiter, they can tend to extremes and to overindulgence. Because that's part of what Jupiter does. The best quality of a Sagittarian is loyalty. So they are a good friend. Sagittarians are good friends. And their worst quality is sportiveness. And if you think of it as teasing people unmercifully, because a Sagittarian can do that. They understand. So they're part of the thought series of comprehension. They rule the hips and the thighs, as their symbol indicates, the center. Strong lower bodies. And because it's Jupiter, they can sometimes, well, Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So somebody with a prominent Jupiter could be hippie, or could have maladies of the hips and the thighs. Again, I see, they comprehend, they can tease unmercifully, they tend to speak before they think, And even when they're speaking before they think, they also tend to hit the mark. After Sagittarius, we have fire. After fire comes earth. So after Sagittarius comes Capricorn. Capricorn rules the knees. Capricorn is symbolized by the goat. And a Capricorn is sure-footed because a Capricorn is going to study where it goes before it puts its foot down. They want to be certain. They are circumspect. They do their homework. Capricorns do their homework. They can be very disciplined. They can be harsh. And because they can be harsh, people think of them as not being sensitive, which is not true. Capricorns are very sensitive. They're very warm. And they can be very protective. And although they are of the 3rd degree of emanation, they are looking out for themselves. They can look out for themselves. Sometimes it is said that Capricorns marry for money, and that can be associated with a negative quality of Capricorns, because Capricorns are also very nurturing. They're very protective. They're sure-footed. They do their homework. Because they are earth signs. Again, remember, all of the earth signs are practical. They're going to find something and make use of it. A negative quality of Capricorn is that they make use of it to the detriment of others. And remember, the negative quality is always balanced by the positive quality, because they can also make use of it to make sure that everybody is safe. Because that's a very, very strong quality of Capricorn, is safety. They are certainly looking after their own safety, but they will also provide safety to those with whom they associate. Tricky Dick was a Capricorn. Remember, Nixon. Richard Nixon was a Capricorn. They know how to appeal to those in authority. Capricorns know how to appeal to those in authority so that they can get to where it is that they want to go. It is a movable or a cardinal sign, so they will be leaders as well. However, they go about it slowly and practically, making sure that when they put their foot down, the ground beneath is solid. Capricorns can be very serious. It's also said of Capricorns that they age backwards. When they're born old. And as they get older, they get lighter and more, well, this is everybody gets more comfortable with themselves as they get older. But it is more indicative of a Capricorn than it is of the other signs. Capricorns start to relax as they get older. It's also said that Capricorn children take care of their parents. Capricorn is associated with the 8th card in the major arcanum, the balance. The color is darker blue. The gem is onyx. They appreciate justice and equilibrium, balance. Remember, they want that solid ground underneath them. And it says, that to be victorious over thyself and dominate obstacles is but a part of the human task. To accomplish it entirely, thou must establish equilibrium between the forces that thou hast brought into plan. All action produces reaction. The will should foresee the shock of opposite forces in order to temper or annul them. It signifies that the future is balanced between good and evil and warns that an unbalanced mind is like an abortive sun. So the key word for Capricorn is I use. And the best quality of Capricorn, and this was certainly true of Richard Nixon. Remember, he opened the doors to China. It was he who decided to reacquaint the US with the concerns of China. So their best quality is diplomacy. And they are diplomatic because they want to make sure that they can take advantage of whatever it is that you have. Because you don't have to give it to them. They're going to find a way. That's their best quality. Their worst quality is deceitfulness. And that again is, they're going to use, they can use that diplomacy to take advantage of and to get what they want. Did I say sometimes Capricorns can be associated with being gold diggers, marrying for money? And the Capricorns can also be the most generous, the most kind. It's always a balance. It's always a balance. Each sign contains both positive and negative characteristics, and you get to choose which ones you want to work on. Again, their thought series is to be able to use things. I use is their keyword. So what does anybody want to know? Are there any questions about these two signs, Sagittarius and Capricorn?
I had a question. Please repeat thought series for Sag.
Okay. The thought series for Sag is I see, the understanding, comprehension.
The color for Sag
And
is,
the color for Sag is a lighter purple.
okay, and there is a question here, but it's been answered. Does the studious sure-footedness of Capricorns make them quite slow moving? I said absolutely not, but
Well, yeah, I don't know if I mentioned that Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn rules the metal lead. And lead is heavy, it is dense. So, Capricorns can be quite deep. They're dense. And because they are so sure-footed, it requires that they move a little more slowly. Although they can zip around just like anybody else as well. They zip around when they are absolutely positively sure about their environment.
Mars is in harmony with Capricorn, right?
I'm sorry, say that?
Mars is in harmony with Capricorn? It is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that you will be getting when we finish the planets, you're going to be getting something called a table of essential dignities. And that talks about the rulers of the planets, where they are in exaltation and harmony, and in harmony. So all of these things are going to tie together. I know that originally when I started to organize this class, I was going to do the planets first because the planets are the planets are really the vehicle that drives a horoscope, and the signs color it. The signs temper the vehicles. However, we are more familiar with the signs, and Zane introduced the signs before the planets. And since it was Zane, I said, okay, I guess I'll do the signs first, and we'll do the planets next. But remember, the planets have a very strong influence. Instruments that a trumpet is a B flat instrument, and what that means is that if you just blow a free note from a trumpet, it's going to sound in a B flat. So that when a composer writes something for a trumpet and he wants to write it in C, he has to write it. He has to write it in C sharp. No, in D. He has to write it in D in order. No, C sharp is right. He has to write it in C sharp in order for the trumpet to play the same C as a violin will play a C. A violin is a C instrument. It's a 440 instrument. So that's how you can look at the signs and the planets. You know, the planet is the instrument, and the signs are the keys. And sometimes a key is more difficult to play on one instrument than it is on another. And I hope I didn't confuse you any further. Any other questions?
It's been answered, Vanessa. The question was, what are the gems for Sag and Capricorn? For Sagittarius, it's red garnet. For Capricorn, it's onyx or sardonyx.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. Okay. So now we're nearing the end. We've got 2 signs to do. So since we did fire, Sagittarius, and earth, Capricorn, the next element that follows is air. And these last 2 signs are sometimes called the weirdos of the zodiac. And that is applicable to Aquarius because it moves so fast. Although it's a fixed sign, it is the most cerebral sign of the air signs. They can get bored very quickly. It is the sign of man, and they also call him the water bearer. Now, how can an air sign be a water bearer? Well, because they fight for a cause. They are altruistic. They can be very altruistic. They want to have justice and equality for all. They are ruled by Uranus, which talks of their quickness and their ability to suddenly move from one point to another. Uranus also is the planet of genius, and if you ask an Aquarian, they can tell you that they are the smartest person in the room, and I'm teasing. So they too like to talk, but they talk with a purpose, and their purpose comes out of them being a fixed sign. Again, they are motivated by the needs and the desires of others, because that's what they want. They want to make sure that these things happen for everybody. because our fixed sign, they're practical. All of the 6 signs are practical within their element. So an Aquarian is going to show you why you should think the way they are thinking. And if you're not quick enough to catch on what they're saying, goodbye, they say. They are very quick to move on. They're inventive and creative. They enjoy being around people. They enjoy large groups. They are refined. They have excellent memories. They enjoy a good argument. They really do like getting along. They prefer the company of Geminis than even to Librans, because Librans are a little bit too sensitive for them. Aquarians are progressive thinkers. They tend to be the first person in a group to try something. They like new things. So Aquarians were on the internet before everybody else. And now they're ready for something else. They want to know more. They want to know it all. And they want to tell you about it too. The key word for Aquarius is I know. And that's underlined by the fact that they're a fixed sign. So they can be opinionated as well. Aquarius is an air sign, so it is masculine. It's assertive, it's aggressive. Aquarius is associated with the sage, number 9 in the major arcanum. The color is lighter blue. The gem is a blue sapphire. And they appreciate wisdom and prudence. When you can get them to sit still long enough, they will consider the best way to go about doing something. And most likely find it. And then look at you like you're a jerk because you didn't see it. Thank you, Radine. So, the sage. Prudence is the armor of the wise. Circumspection enables one to avoid snares and abysses and to foresee treason. Take it for thy guide in all thy actions, even in the least. Nothing is indifferent here below. A pebble can overturn the chariot of the master of the world. Keep in mind that speech is silver and silence is gold. So apparently, Aquarius learned the lesson that Sagittarius overlooked. They can be quiet. And then look and discover the prudence and the wisdom in their actions. The best quality of an Aquarian is altruism. And their worst quality is argumentativeness. Because they will go down to the wire talking about it because they know it. I know. So remember, these keywords work in both ways. I know. I want to make sure that you are taken care of. I know that I know it and you don't. And you have to come to my way of thinking. Both sides. You have to remember both sides. Because they both influence and enhance each other. Aquarians are, and Pisces, they are eccentric. because they are more likely to go their own way than other signs. Even though they're in the 3rd degree of emanation and they consider first what's going on outside of themselves, they still like something different. And the last sign of the zodiac is Pisces, water. Remember, the signs follow all the time: fire, earth, air, water. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. Fire, earth, air, water. Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. Fire, earth, air, water. Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. The 2 fish swimming in opposite directions. And you wonder why they're weird. And the 2 fishes is also the symbol for Christianity. And Venus is exalted in Pisces. Because if a Pisces loves you, you are loved. Pisces is a water sign. It is a mutable sign, so it is a developer. It is willing to do the work in a relationship in order to develop that love. And it's willing to do the hard work. Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Neptune is the planet of illusion, which is another reason why Pisces are weird. They're extremely creative. They're also dreamy. And you know, like the fish in the water, they're just going along, swimming along, and they'll get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But they're very sympathetic, very loving, very imaginative. They can be counselors because they will listen to you. But they can also, they can also, they're also really good liars. They tell good stories. Oh yeah, they can tell good stories. Because Pisces can be some really gifted con men. And they can con you into something that will be of your benefit or something that won't. They're idealistic. They're sensitive and mediumistic, intuitive. They may rely on their intuition more than the other water signs. Because they are mutable, they're more flexible. And as they're swimming in water, Cancer is the crab, and it lives both in the water and on the land. And then there's Scorpio, that lives in the air and on the land. And a scorpion in the desert burrows into the ground in order to regulate its temperature. So it's going down deep. Whereas a Pisces lives in the water. They are emotion. And although Scorpio thinks they're the sexiest, it's actually Pisces. Pisces, did I say Pisces was exalted in Venus? But Pisces is ruled by Neptune. And Neptune is the planet of dreams, imagination, creativity, and illusion. And the key word for Pisces is, I believe. Oh boy. Their best quality is sympathy. Their worst quality is worry. They and when they start worrying, it's like they're going down a rabbit hole. You really have to grab them and pull them out. And as I said, their dominant idea is belief. And this card is so very true of Pisces. Pisces is ruled by is associated with the 12th card of the major arcanum, the Martyr. The color is darker purple. The gem or the stone is peridot. And sacrifice and expiation. What did Christ? What do people think about when they think of Jesus Christ? They think about his sacrifice on the cross. And yes, that's what Pisces will do. Sacrifice is a divine law from which none is exempt, but expect any ingratitude from men. Always hold thy soul in readiness to render its account to eternal. A violent death will spread its snares upon the way. But if the world attempts thy earthly life, do not die without accepting with resignation this decree of God, and pardon thy cruelest enemies. For whoever does not forgive here below will be condemned in the next life to eternal solitude. I think I might have mentioned in the last class that I once took a class by a woman who was trained in Europe. And she said that each sign builds upon the previous sign. So if that is true, then Pisces embodies everything of the zodiac. And perhaps because it does, and it's so that makes it as dreamy and as eccentric as Pisces can be. Questions? Anybody have any questions? Are there any questions?
I've been answering and Peg's been answering. I don't have any questions that haven't. There is a little ditty here. I once read that Aquarius, being an air sign, put the water bearer in akin to how the rain is brought by clouds and comes from the sky. I hope I'm paraphrasing that correctly. That is from Taylor.
Well, thank you, Taylor.
About it. Sorry.
Well, guess what? It's about time. It's 9:25. We're done. So let's look at that and make sure that you have all of the elements, the qualities, and the sex in the signs. I'm going to go over, let's look at the worksheet. I'm going to go over this quickly. And I'm just going to talk about element, quality, and the sex. Aries is fire, movable, and male. Taurus is earth, fixed, and female. Gemini is air, mutable, and male. Cancer is water, movable, and feminine. And those are those four signs are the first degree of emanation. Leo is fire, fixed, and male. Virgo is earth, mutable, and female. Libra, air, cardinal, and male. Scorpio, water, fixed. And everybody okay? Scorpio is water, fixed, and female. And those four signs are the second degree of emanation. Sagittarius, fire, mutable, male. Capricorn, earth, movable, female. Aquarius, air, fixed, male. Pisces, water, mutable, and female. and they are the third degree of emanation. Let's go back up to the top again and get the keywords, just to make sure. Aries, I am. Taurus, I have. Gemini, I think. Cancer, I feel. Leo, I rule. Virgo, I analyze. Libra, I balance. Scorpio, I desire. Sagittarius, I see. Capricorn, I use. Aquarius, I know. And Pisces, I believe. And we are now ready. Oh, although this certainly this class is offered free of charge. However, there are many things that have to be done in order to provide this class to you. There is a Zoom account that must be paid for, the electricity, and the telephone, the internet. So if you are at all able, it would be appreciated if you could make a donation to the church. And you can do that on the website. And it's just a suggestion. Certainly the church can use it. But now we're ready for our closing ritual.
All righty. Eternal brothers and sisters, we are now about to close the Church-alike meeting in the customary manner, and in so doing, let us consider seriously the kind of life it is fitting a brother and a sister of the light should live. We must each leave this meeting to go about our daily duties, but unless we take with us some higher thought and nobler purpose, we have spent our time here in vain, for knowledge lacking goodness leads to naught but self-undoing. Each brother and sister has pledged himself or herself to put forth an effort to alleviate physical and mental suffering, to dispel ignorance, and to spread truth. Therefore, even as we would be helped by those of our religion who are more enlightened, let us make every effort to assist others, and let each so conduct himself or herself as to be an example of moral purity, radiating life, light, and love upon the world of their endeavors. As has been the custom for eons past, let us arise and face the west, wherein at close of day the solar orb softly sinks to rest and relinquishes his sovereignty to his heavenly consort. And let us bear in mind that even as the orb of night reflects the glory of the sun when the darkness would shroud the earth, so should each earnest brother and sister reflect the radiance of our teachings, even amidst the darkness of ignorance, lighting somewhat the most obscure as well as the more luminous paths which they are forced to tread. The lunar mother is symbolized in the minds of our ancient brethren as sustaining nature, upon whose breast we lean, and from whom we draw such experiences as nourish and expand our immortal souls. Let us now make the religion of the stars. We stand to indicate active volition with right hand raised to heaven, in aspiration to science, wisdom, and power, and the left hand pointing to earth, signifying the desire to reflect the divine will and evincing an unconquerable determination to dominate all acts of life by spirit. You may lower your hands and I will pronounce the benediction. O thou eternal spirit, in whom we live, move, breathe, and have our being, dismiss us now with thy blessings, And as we travel along our several ways, let the ministers of thine guard our footsteps and light our pathways, that we may not stumble in our blindness. From our hearts, we thank those who have assisted in our researches. And now as we depart, we consecrate our efforts to the cause of truth and beneficence. So shall it be.
So shall it be. Next week, although you are going to get a